I was determined, and I went, and my daughter, who's really a very accomplished hairstylist, taught me how to blow dry, and she actually even gave me a tape here. I'll show you here. This is really fascinating. Right here. Blow drying 101. I was her student. I was her student for 6 weeks, and I'm competent at blow drying now, and I could do that either in a salon or anybody. Because as a hairdresser, it's like riding a bike. You don't forget. But the hardest thing to do was to be able to hold that blow dryer in my left hand and work the brush in my right hand, and then be able to use my fingers holding those two instruments to really, to do the hair and to do it all together. It's the coordination, and that took practice. So now I am a relatively accomplished blow drying expert. So really, it's the woo factor. It's the opportunity that all of you have to continue your education, no matter who you are, male, female, age is irrelevant. The aspect of continuous education is the main point of everything. To keep open-minded and to continue your education, because none of us knows it all. Again, I still need to be mentored. I have mentors, financial mentors, business mentors, planning mentors. We have a family coach. There's 6 of us to get together. We plan and we collaborate 6 times a year as a family unit. And if you think that's easy, it's not. Because the hardest things with family and business comes down to one word. One word. And all of you can relate to this with your own families. Really, how honest are you? It's the honesty factor. When we first started this formal process, there was many tears. My oldest daughter, when she was 4 years old, I was late picking her up at a party and she never forgave me. True, never forgave me until we started this process. She held it against me in her own way. But I will tell you, between families, honesty is the hardest word, to really be brutally honest. I had a conversation last night for an hour on the phone with that same daughter who now, she's an accomplished hairdresser. She ran several stores. She ran one store. She's been a success in everything she's done. She went back to school to get an MBA degree. She was Dean's List at college, became a hairdresser, worked about 5-6 years, went back, got a master's degree, came back, still worked in our organization, was not happy. She decided to become a barber. She went back to school, became a master barber, worked in a barbershop, and then she opened her own little barbershop. Still strategic with us. Still strategic, but she's a barber. Now, last night, she's telling me what her next goal is. She wants to sell the barbershop, or give it up, or have it paid out somehow. And she's going back to school to get a master's degree in psychology. Because she's so interested in family planning, she wants to adopt that as a profession. And she did commit to me. She's still staying. I need her. I told her, I need you. I said, will you please stay strategic? She said, yes, I will stay strategically involved, but I want to change my career. And I want to go back to school and get a master's degree in psychology. And so she's applying to a school now. And she's hoping to get in, and she's going to take 2 years of that, and then she's going to move to Denver, she tells me, to go to another school, to finish up with this mind, I don't know, whatever she was telling, I don't know what it is, some spiritual stuff, whatever.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, that's mindfulness. That's what she wants to get also as part of her stuff. But she's still going to stay strategically involved because she's very smart. Both of my kids are business women. My nephew is my business partner, my first wife, and my brother. There's 6 of us that will operate together. So really, the education piece is the big takeaway, folks. The continuous education. It's WOO, willingness. The willingness factor really opens up opportunities. So right now, I'll open up for any kind of questions if you have anything, because I've given you my whole embryonic life story. Hopefully that resonated with you and it inspires you to continue to be open-minded and continue your education and look at some of the aspects of either drama or goal setting that really are the takeaways that you can embrace as your own to help improve your own lives, whether it be personal or professional, because it's all there waiting for you. You have to be the one to take charge and really imply and execute the commitment factor and make it your own. Really, it works for anybody who wants to take those steps, little mini steps that will change your life, all of you, including my own. I still write goals. again, I still get educated, and I'm still going for the stars, because there's no end to my opportunity. No, there's no limit to what my potential is, and I'm demonstrating that. And my goal is never to retire until they can kick the dirt on me. So as long as I'm healthy and feeling good, I'm going to be there riding this horse. Because I love working with family and business. It's my opportunity to work with my adult children, my nephew, as peer-to-peer. No longer father-daughter relationship. It's peer-to-peer, adult to adult. That is special. When you have children, and like you work with your dad, I mean, to have peer-to-peer without the drama of parent-child, it's fascinating. It really is. Can I answer any questions for anybody? Yes, sir.
So if we look at, I know you have different levels within your company.
Yeah.
You know, you have Bubbles, and then you have the hair cuttery. The hair cuttery is, you know, kind of an everyday in this area haircut place. It's not certainly not your high end.
It's value. We call it value.
Value. Okay.
Yes, and it's going to even change a little more because I'm going to be doing some hair cuttery express pricing at the beginning of the week.
Okay.
But that's futuristic, and nobody even knows that in my company yet.
So how do you delight in that environment compared to, let's say,
Moments of truth.
Moments of truth.
From the end, we've got a wow service. It's 5 points. Where from the way you greet, to before service consultation, to a great shampoo, to the finishing, talking about home hair care, because retail products are part of our industry, part of the service. It's not a matter of selling, it's a matter of prescribing what would be good for your hair. So it's a 5 or 6 point process that we call wow service.
Wow.
And then really building relationships. We're all here to build relationships. How do you build a relationship? You gotta ask questions.
Right.
That's how you build relationships. You ask questions and listen to someone talk to you. So that's what we call the delight factor, to create that memorable experience that will create client loyalty. Mm-hmm. That's the theory behind it. And we're executing it to great success. And we now have, if you've noticed, for hair cutting break, we've got a smile back guarantee. Meaning that if you're not happy, you say something, we will guarantee it unconditional. And it's working brilliantly. And it took us 3 years to execute that, to educate our people to a smile back guarantee. I mean, there's no light switch with anything. It's called process. Process. And process takes time. Time, patience, and energy, and communication, and listening, and execution, and then shared accountability. That's what it's about. Good question. Anybody else have questions?
So I assume you have an HR department, and
I do.
then you hire these students, I would imagine, right out of school.
It's everybody. Anybody's you got to have a license to cut hair.
Okay, a license to cut hair. Do you have a probationary period, and how do you determine who is going to be that fit? Is this person automatically delightful, or are they brought into the system and it's determined that they're going to fit after the hire? How do you determine that?
Well, we do have a series of interview questions that vet out some people, because some people just don't have the willingness factor because of their own personal situations, how they were brought up, or the drama in their own lives, and they just can't overcome it. You know, so we attempt to flush that out right away. But we do have a onboarding process of orientation to the culture, the people first, so they understand that we love our people and we want them to feel. And when I go to any store, how do you feel? Do you feel cared for? If I can go into any store and I can know immediately whether the environment is of harmony and love. And if somebody says I don't feel it, I got a problem, because everybody knows. I tell everybody without shadow of doubt, I'm there. If how do you sustain that culture is one of the challenges. Everybody's got to adopt and really adapt and really give their heart. It's heart and soul is really it is. You got to wear your heart in your sleeve when you're dealing with people. Heart. So we do attempt to flush that out and vet that out. So there's really two aspects of it. When someone doesn't have the willingness and they're a high performer, I'll let it go. Because, you know, I mean, look, Pern's got a high performer and making a lot of money for them and ourselves. We love it. But a low performer, if they ain't got the willingness to keep their education and keep going, we want them at the door. So we do have an onboarding process to attempt to vet them out. We do have a process for that. That answers your question. We do. It's not perfect though, in anything. And we do have a human resource department. I've really cut it into two. Comp and benefits, I'm moving over to my CFO, my financial community, and the training and all the other things really over to services. So we've cut, because HR has been a nightmare for us for 40 years. It's been a revolving door. I've probably had 6 or 7 HR people. They all say they know what they're doing, but they're all bullshit. So that's my world. You know, we took somebody.
It was a popular field for a while.
It still is, and somebody who's really competent can make a lot of money. I mean, you know, top HR people in big companies, they're making several $100,000 as entry fee compensation when they're good. But it's just never worked out because we've got such a strong culture, and it's so people-centric and operationally centric, they just never have adapted to it. So, yes?
I wanted to know, how did you decide that you have the hair cuttery and then you wanted to do Bubbles, which is a higher end?
Yes.
So how do you differentiate between the two, and what do you offer in Bubbles that is
Great question.
more so than hair cuttery?
Bubbles was created when I divorced my first wife. She wanted something of her own, and we together, I mean, we did it together, but she didn't want to work with me anymore, okay? But we wanted to stay together financially, and so she said, because she was a top hairdresser, and really, it was a different to go value from where she was coming from. So she wanted to open a higher end store. And so we looked in the true story. I went to the London Yellow Pages, looked under names, and we found a laundromat called Bubbles. And that was the name. She loved the name Bubble because she was very bubbly. Norman knows she's always been very bubbly. So that was the name that she selected. And our first store was on K Street. It was a great location, and it would, from the minute, because she was the top stylist, I mean, that store took off like a New York City minute, and very successful. And then, you know, look, one thing led to another. The first few stores we did, and then what happened was a hair cuttery brand, our mother corporation, really funded and financed the growth of the Bubbles organization. So we're partnered. Now things have changed so dramatically, and really there's a little friction because I could take that brand and take it national, you know, and I'm not national. I'm only in 20% of America, but I could put one Bubbles in between 10 hair cutteries and be a career path, because I'm into career pathing for the people. And there is a distinctive difference because the products are different, the training is different, the mojo is different. The culture is a Ratner culture. Our corporation is called Ratner Companies 20 years ago, because everything revolved around hair cuttery, and Bubbles felt like they were the stepchild. So the organization came, we got to do something about it. We want to change it, and they came up with the name Ratner Companies, and it took us about a month to surrender to it and decide that was what we do, because we didn't want any notoriety. But we did decide to do that together. We thought it was a good idea, and it really did stick. So we're known as Ratner Companies. And so now there's Ratner initiatives, and then there's brand-specific initiatives. Back office is Ratner, you know, payroll, all the humor, the training, and all that. But the brand autonomy is still very important to us. I hope that answered your question. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I would think that your hairdressers are kind of like our designers. They're constantly standing there doing the same thing over
Yes,
and
they
over,
are.
cranking out the work.
Yes.
So what do you do to keep them motivated and happy?
Training. Everybody in our industry, training is really a key component to happiness because it's a creative industry. So we have ongoing classes, plus in once a year I bring in superstars, and we have bigger seminars. And really right now, because of the Bubbles, I'm working on Ann to have her people come to, we've got the Salon Plaza people coming to these events in the spring for education, because that's common thread to everybody. It's no matter what, you know, hair color, technique, and cutting techniques change. It's a fashion. Things change all the time. I could show you pictures from 40 years ago. Hairstyles today are totally different. You know, long hair is a little more prominent today. I mean, so things are different. So really, it's the training that really is part of the glue, the training that keeps the people happier. Yes?
I'm not sure, because I'm not familiar with Bubbles, what services you offer there. Is it only hair, or have you
We
evolved more
do
into
not do manicure.
spa?
It's hair. It's all color. It's
Okay.
chemicals, some waxing, You know, it's just
For the
different,
minimum.
different